In 1974, a radio engineer pulled a razor blade across an audio tape. The manager had threatened to fire anyone who played the track. He cut out one word. The record went to number 1 anyway. The manager had to watch it sell. That's one story. There are 13 of them. 13 tracks from 1974. R&B, soul, funk.
You shine star, and we are shine. Rocking chair, just rock me away from here. Till I see the morning sun. Get down tonight. This will be an everlasting love. This will be.
Each story ran into someone who wanted it quieter, cleaner, or gone entirely. None of them complied. This is what happened. At 13, LaBelle's Lady Marmalade, recorded in New Orleans in 1974. They went to Season Studios to work with Alan Toussaint.
Savage beast inside, roaring till it fries.
The track tells the story of a sex worker in the French Quarter. The hook was a French line that translated to, "Do you want to sleep with me tonight?" TV broadcasters were terrified. They wanted silence. When the group performed the song for the cameras, producers forced them to swap the word coucher for dancer. Suddenly, the song was just about dancing. Patti LaBelle publicly claimed she had no idea what the line meant when she recorded it. It was a strategic lie. It worked. The single hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March 1975 without the change. Television got the sanitized version. Radio got the truth. 12 brings us to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Shining Star, 1974. The label had spent 3 years trying to force them into a neat jazz box. Multiple albums went out and vanished because Maurice White refused to play the role of a background lounge act. He wanted a sound that hit like gospel, but the executives told him no. So White did the unthinkable. He tore up the contract, fired his band, and walked away from his only paycheck. The label office went quiet, waiting for the apology that never came. In the thin air of Caribou Ranch, they finished the session as a gamble on survival. Months later, White became the first black artist in history to top the singles and album charts at the exact same moment. The Ohio Players landed 11 with Fire, recorded in November 1974. Leroy Sugarfoot Bonner was a guitarist who never intended to lead. He only stepped to the microphone because the group couldn't keep a singer. They had just signed with Mercury, a major label expecting a polished crossover. Bonner gave them something raw. In Chicago, Stevie Wonder heard the unfinished rhythm tracks and called them hot. That one word became the title. Billy Beck sat at the Hammond B3 and ran it through a pedal until it screamed like a Chicago fire engine. Radio stations refused to open with the siren. Too real, they said. It would cause panic on the roads. Mercury pushed back. Bonner didn't touch it. By early 1975, it was number 1 on both the pop and R&B charts. Is Fight the Power by the Isley Brothers, 1974. Inside the vocal booth at Kendon Recorders, Ronald Isley stepped to the microphone for what was supposed to be a standard take. The lyric sheet said, "Nonsense," but Ronald didn't sing it. He yelled bullshit instead. Behind the glass, his brother Ernie froze. It was a word that could kill a record's chance at the charts. Ronald simply said it needed to be said. They decided they didn't need to be politically correct and left the tape running. When the record hit the airwaves, programmers panicked. Engineering booths became DIY editing suites, with technicians using razors and tape to splice out the word or drowning it in bleeps. By the end of the year, Fight the Power was the #1 R&B song in America and reached #4 on the Billboard Hot 100. Here's something that hurts. Only 1% of viewers on Music Express FM are subscribed. 99 out of 100 come for the ride, feeling the energy, discovering songs that hit right in the chest, yet you haven't joined us. Why walk away when the engine is running? Subscribing costs absolutely nothing, but it guarantees you'll always catch the next great track before anyone else. This isn't just a playlist, it's a movement. Don't listen from the sidelines. Be the 1% that fuels the music. Hit subscribe and stay on board. On this list, Pick Up the Pieces by the Average White Band, late 1974. The song wasn't recorded in a studio. It was born during a jam session in a Hollywood Hills living room. To their saxophonist, Malcolm Duncan, it was just a strange funk instrumental played by Scotsman with no lyrics other than a shout. He didn't think it was a single. Their first album on MCA had bombed and the label had already dropped them. They were effectively finished until Jerry Wexler heard the tape and said it hit him where he lived. He signed them to Atlantic immediately. When the record came out, black radio stations initially refused to play it because the band was white. By early 1975, it was #1. Drummer Robbie McIntosh never saw it. He died of an overdose in September 1974, just as the world was starting to listen. Goes to Gwen McCrae with Rockin' Chair, a track she finally recorded in 1974. A year earlier, her song Rock Your Baby went to her husband George because she was late to the studio. George's falsetto made him a global star, leaving Gwen as the invisible wife on the sidelines. She spent 1974 watching him perform on stages built for her. The industry saw her as a ghost. The stakes were concrete. If her next record failed, she would remain a footnote forever. Gwen walked into the studio with the backing track already waiting on tape. She didn't ask for permission or a second take. In one single night, she laid down a vocal that stopped the room. The label knew they had a hit from the first groove. Position 1, R&B, no apologies, is The Hustle by Van McCoy, a 1974 record he almost never released. His partner Charles Kipps had seen the new dance at a New York club called Adam's Apple, but McCoy didn't share his enthusiasm. To him, it was just the last song for the album, a filler track written in under an hour. Mainstream radio programmers were skeptical. There were no lyrics to hook a listener, just 5 words repeated over a sharp piccolo melody played by Phil Bodner. McCoy almost cut the track entirely, thinking an instrumental wouldn't stand a chance against the vocal hits of the day. He didn't apologize for the missing singer. He just let the club floors do the talking. The clubs exploded. Radio was forced to follow the dancers, and the track went to #1 and won a Grammy. Is Major Harris and his 1974 debut, Love Won't Let Me Wait. At Sigma Sound in Philadelphia, the producers kill every light in the studio except for one tiny bulb on the music stand.
And spend the night in one.
Harris sang in the dark. Silence followed. In the instrumental breaks, you can hear the audible sound of a woman sobbing in the background.
Your love so desperately.
It was intentional. For Harris, this was his first shot outside of a group, and the stakes were total. If radio programmers found the content too explicit, his solo career was over.
Move a little close to me.
The lyrics spoke of ecstasy and sweat. The Gatekeepers were visibly uncomfortable with the raw seduction, but they couldn't ignore the sound.
Desperately. And only you.
They put it on the air. It climbed to number 5 on the pop charts and stayed there. Harris never went back to the group. Minnie Riperton holds 5 with Lovin' You, a song she first sang in 1974 that was never meant for the charts.
Ooh, I'm more in love with you.
Her husband, Richard Rudolph, began writing it in 1971, but it only became a lullaby after their daughter Maya was born.
Loving you. Loving.
Minnie sang it just to keep the baby quiet. The birds were an accident. By the time they reached the record plant in Los Angeles, Maya was in the studio while Stevie Wonder produced under the pseudonym El Toro Negro to avoid his Motown contract.
La, la, doo, 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 doo.
The recording was a bet that raw intimacy could beat polished production. But radio gatekeepers weren't interested. Every time Minnie sang her daughter's name at the end, DJs would fade the track out. They thought Maya sounded like a religious chant. They literally cut the baby's name out of the airwaves. On this list brings us to a sweltering attic above a Hialeah warehouse where Casey and the Sunshine Band recorded Get Down Tonight in 1974. Harry Wayne Casey wasn't a star yet. His day job was packing boxes in the TK Records stockroom. He and Richard Finch waited until the owner, Henry Stone, cleared out for the night before sneaking upstairs to the tape machines. They worked in the humid dark. Finch manually pushed the guitar tracks through a machine running at double speed, producing a frantic buzz that Stone dismissed as a radio unfriendly mistake. Casey didn't ask for permission. He renamed the track himself, crossing out the original title on the tape box with a marker while Stone's office sat empty below. By 1975, The Attic Gamble was the number 1 song in the country. Is Natalie Cole and This Will Be, 1974. As Nat King Cole's daughter, the industry gatekeepers had already mapped her life into jazz ballads and orchestral standards. If she followed that path, she'd spend her career as a tribute act, buried in her father's shadow. Cole refused to apologize for choosing soul. She walked into Curtom Studios in Chicago and recorded R&B, a move Capitol Records executives viewed with visible skepticism. Larkin Arnold told her the debut album lacked a hit single. Producers Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey responded by writing, "This Will Be" overnight. The song hit number 1 and snatched the Grammy for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. For the first time in 8 years, the award didn't go to Aretha Franklin. Natalie Cole held the trophy, and the label stopped asking her to sing jazz. At 2, War's Lowrider, 1974. The track started simply. Saxophonist Charles Miller walked into the studio after buying a 1952 Chevrolet and drinking a bit of tequila.
No rider is the one to meet.
He began improvising words over a groove the band was already playing. During the session, drummer Harold Brown made a beat mistake. The band kept it. It became signature. Since 1958, anti-lowrider laws had targeted the Chicano community, treating their culture as a nuisance that needed to be policed.
Knows every street, yeah.
When the record dropped, radio gatekeepers hesitated. They read drug connotations into the line about being a little higher. War refused to apologize or explain what the song meant. They let it stand as an act of identity. It hit number 1 on the R&B chart, a slow-moving 52 Chevy cruising right past the Ordinances and the Skeptics. And at 1,